Insta, just putting our Facebook on. Good morning. Good morning. We had a few technical problems and we've decided to come over to Instagram to do my live today for Natter with Ness. Hello, Coralie. Hello, Facebook world. Hello, Botanical Beauty Skincare. Is that you, Jess? Okay. Welcome. Now, we're going to have Maxine join us in a moment. We have open space on Facebook, so I had started a live over there that if you're wondering what's happened, we had a few technical glitches on Facebook and weren't able to, hello Jess, weren't able to get Maxine to join us live, and there was no volume on StreamYard for her. So we're here and we're on Facebook. So let me know where you are. If you're Facebook or you're on Insta, put a comment up and we'll go from there. So welcome, Alicia. How are you? Hey, Jess, excited for you to do your course. That's really good. Hello, Ramona. I hope everyone's got their cuppa. Yes. So we're going to only, you're here, Max, great. We're only going to see Maxine on Instagram because the platform doesn't allow to share and get her to join. So one of those things. All right, so Insta it is. Great. So Maxine, what you need to do, my dear, you're in Insta now. Ramona, good. Now, Maxine, do you see down the bottom where the comment box is, where it has like a video camera with a plus? That will be to request to join. Okay, so just waiting for the lovely Maxine to join us. Yay! Okay. Max. Hopefully this is, whoa, it's working. Yay. I'll just introduce you to Facebook world. Hello, Facebook. This is Maxine.
Hello.
Maxine's joining
everyone.
us today. Welcome.
Finally, we're here. That's lovely.
We're here. Absolutely, we are.
Yeah.
Okay. So, now, those that I'm just going to quickly recap, those that have just joined me on Facebook, we are doing the live with Maxine, so you can see her on my Instagram page. So that'll be psychic_angelicness. Jump over there and you can see Maxine's beautiful face. All you'll be able to do here is hear her. All right. So, Maxine, welcome. So good. We've been talking for a few weeks.
Sorry, I missed that last bit.
We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, so it's really nice to have you on.
Thank you very much. And we thought we had it all sorted, didn't we? That this was going to go so smoothly. And I think there's something in the air that is interfering with technology and internets and so forth. So here's a live demonstration of that happening.
Yeah. Technology. And I think it could be to do with that. The fact is, I think tomorrow, if I'm right, are we going into new moon in Aquarius?
Mm-hmm.
So that could be playing its toll on a few things, right?
And the Lunar New Year as well.
Oh, yes. That's exciting. Do you know much about the Lunar New Year, Maxine?
I don't. I know enough to be a nuisance. I don't know enough to be useful.
Learn about it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Maxine, I really love it if you could introduce yourself to us and share with us what you do.
Sure. Thank you, Ness. I'm a psychotherapist, psychodynamic and Gestalt trained. and I'm a breathwork practitioner. I did my training with a shamanic breathwork trainer. So they're my two formal qualifications. I have a lot of experience with family constellations. Yeah, that's enough.
Wow. You're a full bottle.
Yeah, well, you could call me that. I've been called it before. But when you get to my age, I suppose I've, and, you know, a lifetime of searching and studying, I guess you just find yourself in this place where you go, wow, I've done that, I've tried that, I've got a certificate in that. And I guess the beauty of that is that I find myself now in a place where I feel like I'm doing my best work.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Mm.
totally relate to that. That's really good.
Yeah.
So, Max, I want to ask you what were you doing prior to getting on your spiritual journey?
Crikey. But I was an early married, early mum, and as it was like back in the day, the good housewife days. And I guess when I had children, something switched for me. Like I took on this responsibility, and and I felt, oh my God, it's not just me in the world, you know. So I started to think about a healthier lifestyle, taking care of myself, and sort of one thing just led to another. I didn't have any grand awakenings or anything fancy happen. It really has been just a yearning, a searching yearning that I've watered and grown. And yeah, I guess it's a bit like practice, right? Um, Dabbled in meditation as a busy mum. That's always difficult to do, but I kind of hung in there.
Mm,
It's been much easier for me as I now am a grandmother, that I have the time, and so there's something quite beautiful about aging,
yeah,
that I can devote a lot more
yeah.
time to my own path now, which is quite a privilege, really. Mm.
Mm. So, what I guess, so you dabbled in the meditation, found that hard to fit in as a busy mum. What led you into this? Like, you did the meditation, but what sort of was the message for you, or what happened for you to all of a sudden go, this is what I want to do?
Um, I I went uh, I went into therapy in my early 40s. So there were, you know, I was going to the Theosophical Society. I was looking, and it wasn't until I went into therapy that I started to go deeper into my own journey. And my therapist encouraged me to go back to school, because I came from the age of, you don't waste money on girls' education. I've always been a searcher. From as long I can remember, standing out on the farm as a young child, looking up at the sky and wondering, where does it end? Where does it start? What's out there, you
Yeah.
know? So those questions have always been there. It wasn't until I really went into therapy that my life changed.
Mm, mm.
And
And
I
I
went
guess,
back to
and
school.
you went back to school. Yeah.
I did. I
Okay.
literally went back to school in my early mid 40s. I can't remember. I'm not good with dates. And I did my year 12 exam. It
Okay.
was the most healing thing I could have done for myself at the time, because, like I said, I came from the age of, don't waste money on a girl's education. So in
Yeah.
terms of self-esteem and self-worth and that, it was the best thing I ever did, and it just went on from there.
Mm, mm, mm. And I can totally relate to that. You know, I actually had to leave high school and, go and work for many years, and then
Exactly.
start doing community services, study at TAFE in my mid-20s, and that didn't go anywhere because I think, me being a light worker, I leave that kind of chop change until we actually really find our genuine path. And I started social work in my sort of early to mid 30s, and then in my 40s again, and then the ripe old age of 49, I've gone and done studied a diploma in counselling. And I can totally relate to that when you say that you don't waste money on girls' education, because, they just need to come home after school, find a man, get married, have children, and do all of that. In my era, I sort of reckon we kind of changed that a little bit,
Absolutely.
The 70s babies were kind of like, no, we're going to go study, or we're going to have a career, or we're going to move into this. So, lots of changes over my 50 years. I can imagine over yours, what you've seen changing people. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. And when you were just talking then, I was just triggered with a memory. As a young child, I always wanted to be a missionary in Africa.
Wow.
And so that's, and I think I picked up that, that life path, what I'm supposed to be doing here from I think it was the Jehovah Witness, that used to deliver the magazine.
Oh,
And
yes.
yeah. And I saw the African children suffering there. So that's where it was, where it was ignited in me to want to help people.
Yeah.
Mm.
Would you do that?
In many ways, being a counsellor and a psychotherapist is being a missionary in many ways, isn't it? So
Absolutely. Would you go and do that now, though, or you feel like that was just part of your stepping stone?
I don't think it was. I don't think it was something that was meant for me. No, I don't. But certainly what underpinned that was definitely.
Absolutely. Go back to that in a sec. And I just noticed that Alicia said, is the new moon tonight or tomorrow night? I'm pretty sure it's the 10th, which is tomorrow, but a lot of people can have new moon energy starting now, because it depends in wherever we are in the world. So America's going to be the 8th, and we're going to be the 9th. So we're that day in front. So that, I hope that answers your question, Alicia.
I think also, Ness, if I can just add to that, is that the energy of the new moon will be effective some days prior to the actual date itself, and afterwards. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you think you've missed it.
Yeah, well, that's right. And I mean, I might do a circle, which is a day before or a couple of days after, but I also believe that too. You're still in the energy of that moon where it is sitting in the universe at that time. Yeah. So yeah, I can totally. All right. So going back to that, I can feel that connection, because to me, when I was a little kid, I always wanted to save the world. And I always believed I had magic powers of sorts, or I was a princess that had control over the whole world, that could make a difference, that could, change things for people and make life easier. It's always something that I was always passionate about, is helping people of some sorts, Yeah.
And I guess that sort of thing segues nicely into being a therapist, is that it's all very well to be driven to help other people, but it starts with helping self. And that was what got me where I am, was I invested into my own personal growth and healing. And that, I think, I wouldn't swap one penny of what it cost me to go back and do it differently. I like to think that these days that we don't have to spend 17 years in therapy, that we have ways now, I think, of working that, we don't have to do that. Do you remember the days of laying on the couch for years and years and years?
That's right.
Whilst some people still choose that path, and there's nothing wrong with that, I think the way we are today, people don't mind the quick fix.
Well, that's right, and I can understand what you're saying there, because I know I grew up, And where I grew up, it was like, you don't talk about emotions. You don't share those emotions, to me. But I was such a giver. It didn't matter, but I wouldn't
Mm.
show vulnerability. I wouldn't show who I was ever.
Yeah.
And growing up, and then having struggled with life and some trauma myself, and relationship stuff that hasn't worked out, and then as you become an adult, I sort of still, when I started my spiritual journey, I didn't know that I had trauma. I didn't know that I was struggling with all of that. It was through my daughter's counseling that I was told that, what you've experienced is trauma. But I still, in my head, was like, no, I don't need to be fixed. I'm okay. Right. And then it was in my 40s, but I was starting to work as a light worker. I was starting to do readings
Mm.
and channel spirit and work with the angels on that level from my late 20s in my 30s. But to me, I still didn't know that I suffered with trauma, that I was grieving loss of a relationship or grieving loss of my father passing, all of those things. But
Mm.
spirit just kept me busy.
Mm.
And I still remember doing readings, and those readings always had some kind of connection or familiarity to my journey.
Mm.
So,
Mm. Mm.
and then, all of a sudden finding hypnotherapy, even though I'd done all of this work, I didn't self-reflect. And
Mhm.
I found hypnotherapy, and I realized that I got, I got diabetes, type 1 diabetes at 31 when my dad passed away, but I still kept getting on with life. I still swept it under the carpet, kept moving forward, and then that work of hypnotherapy, the subconscious pretty much brought to my attention that I hadn't
Yeah.
healed. But to be a healer, I needed to do the work.
Correct.
But don't get me wrong, everything happens for you. And I don't know, I just chose not to listen and just let it go. And then I realized that what was going to make me better was the ideal role model to get myself stuck out of the mud. And I remember saying to my neighbor when I was, not quite 30 yet, and I started doing readings and stuff, and we talk about relationships and things would come up, and I go, I thought I'd done the work. I thought I'd passed this. Why does these readings keep coming up and telling me this, So I started to look back and reflect all these years later, Maxine, on that, and started to, look and go, oh, but spirit was healing me along the way, but it was always about divine timing. If none of this happened to me, it wouldn't have happened for me to be where I am today. So, mine started a bit later, but my spiritual journey started in my early 20s into my,
Mm.
30s when I came out and started helping people. So I totally get that, and,
Yeah.
for me, like a calling.
Yeah. And I think in many ways, Ness, you and I have done it the opposite ways around. Like you were much more in touch with your psychic abilities at a younger age. I had them, but I didn't develop them, and I didn't do anything with it. Um, I did the healing first, my own healing journey. And since I've done that, the intuitive, the psychic, the energy skills have developed since, and more, and still continue to, since I've done the training. Mm.
It's pretty powerful, but
Mm.
we're in the same place now. And it's funny because I've seen Maxine on like sharing posts to my Spiritual Southwest group, and I think we sort of became friends, and we talked, and you said, oh, you do this meditation on a Wednesday night. And I was like, oh, great. Okay. Sometime I'll come in, but my brain forgets when I shut down at the end of the day, which is probably a good reason to nurture myself and get onto to meditation. But I didn't realize that when we go to our meditation, that Rosemary runs every fortnight with us. I met Maxine, and it was just like realized who this beautiful lady was that I chatted to online. So yeah, it's quite a gift. While I talk about that meditation, do you want to share what your Facebook page is and what that meditation is, Maxine, and what you do?
So the meditation that I run is at 8 o'clock Western Standard Time, and it was designed to have a half-hour wind down before you go off to bed. And I offer it free because I feel like it's my gift back. You know, there's a time in your life when you have to give back, and that's what I do. I volunteer for hospice and the online meditation. So yeah, so I've got a Facebook page that's kind of just getting started, really, and it's Maxine's Mindful Medicine, it's called. So I advertise the meditation on that.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's free, there may be Wednesday nights that I don't on for whatever reason. I remember cancelling because the Matildas were playing in the soccer final, and I thought that was reasonable. But for most Wednesdays, when I can, I jump on and we just basically it's a place where I teach a little about the breath. I call it a breath meditation because I guess it's not new to everybody that breath is really spirit, right? And if we don't bring spirit into our body, you know, it's not good for us on many levels: physical, emotional, mental, the whole lot. And so that was another prime reason was, you know, just to get people to get back in touch with themselves and to begin to heal with the breath.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
Mm.
Need to come and join one night. Yeah, it sounds amazing. And I am one for, if I can't switch the brain off at night,
Mm-hmm.
must go to meditation. Do you save any of those, like yourself, that you
Like
you don't?
I have,
No, it's just
I have, I have, I have saved, I think, one, but it was more about me being able to reflect back on it and think, how can I lift my game,
yeah,
or you
okay.
know, or give myself a tick, whatever the case might be. So, but I have been thinking about it. Maybe I should, and then I can put them online, can't I?
Yes, absolutely, you can.
Mm.
You know, I'm at that moment that I can't sleep. I'll remember Maxine's meditation, you know, which is
Yeah.
really, you know, where I'm at. Once I get hypnotic attuned to somebody's voice, that's it. You know, I can actually switch off
Mm.
and dig right into my subconscious and go on that journey. So, and I love just being able to drift off in that meditation, the feeling you get
Yeah.
when you dive into that meditation, when you just really let go. It's like that lulling you off to sleep kind of feeling. I don't know if that makes
But it
sense.
can also, Ness, put you into a space if you've got something that you want to, you know, get more information about. So when we go into the meditation, I often take people on a little journey, and you know, they might get started on that. You can actually take that into your sleep and with an intention to say, I want to know more about this, or I want to explore this further.
Yeah.
And so your dreams, then that starts to bring in your dreams, and you can develop your dream journey with just doing a little exercise like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So do you know much about dreams and how to, you know, figure out what the subconscious is really trying to tell you? Do you know much about that?
I don't know much about that. I've done a lot more about actually dreaming awake. In other words, creating your own dream.
Okay.
And that's what the meditation is designed to do. You know, when you go into your meditation and you want to journey somewhere, you go in with an intention to get an answer or to get support with that. You know, some people like to find a spirit animal or a guide or a teacher or something in those places and get more information. So the dreaming is more about a creation than something coming to you. Is you're actually an active part in the dream.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of trying to interpret dreams, yes, it's important to be able to do that. I don't interpret dreams for people. However, I think if I can just give you 3 quick things about a dream, rather than try and read to find an answer for it,
Yeah.
is to ask yourself afterwards, how do I feel after I have that dream? What is action that I can take to manifest or act on that dream?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to share, you know, to not hold it inside, but to put it out there somehow.
Yeah.
So we can really be quite active in our dreaming.
Absolutely, we can. Yes.
Mm.
Well, that's a good way of talking about it, because your higher self's going to step in, or the subconscious is going to say, well, this is what I'm trying to share with you. Hopefully you can get that message. Some people may not.
Yeah.
With a feeling or a vibration or a shift or a sign from spirit in some form or another. But yeah, I love that, because I like to communicate with my higher self, and you know, and I guess that's somewhere where I can lead in to ask you in a moment. But I just feel like, because my higher self is guiding me 24/7, my higher self is on 24/7, and that's where I feel like there's always where my messages come through. Quite it's like I have a conversation with myself, and then the higher self responds and talks to me through that. Tell me a bit about your higher self, Maxine. Do you know much about your higher self? What it is? I guess what your version of the higher self is.
You know, I don't see it necessarily as a separate thing. And I think, as I said to you yesterday, I don't have a guide or an angel that I can identify with as, you know, a figure or a human form. I get more of just knowing messages.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I was working with somebody recently, I do most of my therapy online, actually, by Zoom.
Wow.
Okay. I know I've had years of experience with that, and it works for me. I was working with this woman, and a little message said something about living alone. It had nothing to do with what we were talking about, what she was wanting to deal with in the session. And I kind of just parked that off to the side. Later in the session, it came back when we were just about to finish. I said, I'm sorry, I just have to share this with you, and I will share these things with my clients.
Yeah.
I'm getting a feeling that, you know, there's something about your living arrangements. And she went, oh my God. And went off and spoke about how she was thinking of buying a house, but she's not sure she can buy a house. It's too expensive, so on, so on, so on. And also that there'd been a break-in in the place that she was living in. So there's something there happening for her that she's being encouraged to either find a place to live or break out and buy herself a house. So, or whatever it might be for her. But so by me sharing those kind of messages, that's probably more how I work.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's interesting. I work on a similar level, but I feel that the higher self is a being of us that's within our higher consciousness, that are like our thoughts, that we talk to and we get a response. It's kind of like the angel on your shoulder saying, that's not the right thing for you to do. You need to do it this way, and wanting the best for us, like, giving us that confidence and that guidance to know this is the right path. This is the better journey for you. Please trust me, and that higher self is a being that's probably been with you, not just only this life, but has wanted to extend that further in past lives or other dimensions that this soul is living in, other planetary or other dimensions, other universes. I mean, that's a whole different story again. But that's kind of like how I look at it. And sometimes I just get a feeling, it could be shivers, or it just could be a cold feeling, or a certain knowing as well. And spirit can drop it in differently for all of us. The highest,
and it brings to mind too, Ness, the messages that come from the animals. I have a strong connection with birds, and and so it's not unusual for a bird to come to my door at my workroom, and so then I can reflect on what the message that's at hand here, or sometimes it's simply just reassurance.
Yes, yeah, it is. And that I was just trying to send Marissa a message. Marissa on Facebook, join us on Instagram, love. She probably can't see Maxine's beautiful face over there. Yeah, absolutely. And it comes through in different ways. How you experience it is going to be different to how I experience it. My psychic abilities are going to be different to you. Like when spirit talks to me, I know the difference between the higher self and spirit, or a passed over loved one, because that passed over loved one to me, in my mind, in my thoughts that I'm hearing, sounds like them as they would have been present in that human life. And also when it comes to spirit or something else guiding me, it sounds different, it feels different. It's that knowing that I don't know how, but I just know. And the higher self to me sounds like me talking to myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it, how your knowing and your feeling and vibration you get is just confirmation.
I think that I think for me it's very much gut related as well. So I have a deep knowing in my belly, and I follow that guidance. I'll give you an example of how I did that. When I moved to Bustleton 6 years ago, 2 years prior to that, I made a decision that I didn't want to move anymore. I want to go somewhere where I can segue into aged care without having to pack another bloody packing box. So, so I started to internalize what that would look like, and I created what it was in my mind, what it was that I wanted down here. And I did a couple of records, and I looked, I drove and walked around parts of Bustleton that I thought I would like, and I got a feel for it. And the long and the short of it all was, I mean, it's a great story. It's too long to tell here. I rented a place exactly where I wanted to. When I had the finances, I was able to buy it, and it all. I sold a property and bought this property within 2 months.
Wow.
Then COVID hit, and I had just signed up to do a renovation just as COVID, and we went ahead with that. So the whole thing just fell into place. But I actually dreamed it. I created it.
Wow, that is amazing.
But it was over a 2-year period, or at least I think that I did that. So I guess it's not a matter of just having a meditation and planning in your mind what you want, but to really, if you want something, you take the time and investment to create it.
Absolutely. And I've been to your house, and you definitely created an amazing place. And I can just, when I've been there, it's like I can see what you wanted, and you've definitely made it to the T of exactly creating that home for you, that beautiful home. So that's yeah. And of course, if you didn't realize that Maxine also lives in Bustleton, but you offer services online too, so don't you? Yeah. So that's you. So yeah, wow, hey, and that's amazing. And I know people say to me, you know, when talking on that subject of knowing and creating, or people say to me, how do you know this stuff? How do you know about me? And how do you know? When, well, spirit tells me, but how I know I'm right, I don't know. I just trust it, and that gives those people confirmation as well. But spirit also wants me to help people to change that fork in the road, or move forward, or get to the place they want to be from all the healing and the growth. So how I know things and how I know what they need and all of that, I don't know. I just trust. It's that feeling again of just knowing and having the intention coming from that heart space of knowing, helping, and that intention of, I believe I'm doing this with love, coming from that heart space. And that makes a huge difference, I truly believe, in that knowing and that connection to spirit too.
And there's another step in that, is that there's no investment or interest on a on a personal level. So when you give information or you share information with somebody, you let go of it. Once you've handed it to them,
Yes.
there's no interest for you to remember or have anything more to do with it. So you're almost like a conduit, right, to assist people.
People will say to me, "Oh, Ness, could you step out what you told me in the reading?" And I'll go,
Nope.
gone. You know, I'll remember some things. It's kind of like I'm not present, but I come back in and I remember some things, but I don't remember all of it. And I always say, if there's something you want to remind me of what I said, please do, because I disconnect that healing or that information through that session that we've had. So that's a prime example, is you need to do that anyway, because if you don't, you're going to carry that home.
Correct. It doesn't mean to say I can't go back into that space if I'm invited by the client, right? So from one session to the next, I don't remember anything, but the minute I'm reconnected with the client,
Yes.
I could almost verbatim say what happened last time, but the minute I'm out of that space,
you don't remember and recall what happened. No.
no.
Thing is, if you're taking it home, like I know when I've worked in previous jobs, like being a career advisor and doing youth work and all of that, I took it home. I was taking time bomb. I was taking all of that energy on and just ready to explode, you know. And now I don't do that, because it's important for me in the right career path, doing my purpose. I have to disconnect, because it becomes that whole physical gone, and that's the boundary that I've put in with spirit, that now we just don't remember. We don't need to remember. It's not me present, it's spirit being that conduit guiding me, or your higher self comes to me and wants to connect to you, and what you need. Sometimes we're not always talking to spirit either. Hello, Teresa joined us, and Joe, and Seeking Serenity. I'm not sure who that one is, but hello. So yeah, it is an interesting journey that we do go on when we work with spirit, and meditation and self-care is really, really important on this journey. You're not one of those perfect people that have healed and completed and finished, because something's always going to come up. Something's always going to say, you need to work on this still. You haven't fixed this, or this is not quite there where you need to be, and this is what we're here for is to constantly learn. You know, without this human body, this vessel, which is the human body, the soul can't experience those beautiful things like feeling, learning, all those negative emotions that we need to feel, you know, love, pain, sex, you know, all of those amazing things we just can't have without the vessel, you know. And it's just an interesting journey. But to evolve spiritually, I think meditation and connecting, you know, you don't have to be spiritual to do meditation. It's more of a mindfulness thing as well, you know.
Well,
And I guess that's your perspective
yeah,
too.
even if you look at meditation from the perspective of just quietening the nervous system to help myself not feel so anxious or uptight, it doesn't have to have anything to do with spirituality. But I also want to mention, Ness, how are we going for time? We've got
Right, we
more time.
11:40ish. So
All
we've
right.
got
Yeah.
left. Yeah.
I just want to, we talk about meditation and spirituality, but I also want to mention, the dark side of life, and that the shadow side or the wounded side, and people have this fear or some kind of, I don't know, avoidance of wanting to look at that part of themselves. And I think that's a bit of a misunderstood and sadly missing from a lot of people's journeys. And, we've heard the term spiritual bypassing. I want to get high, but I'm not willing to go down into to look at the shadow and the dirt,
Yeah.
And, and that's the beauty, I think, of doing some therapy, is being able to be witnessed and believed and heard around the
Yep.
part of us that we don't want to own. If we cannot own that, if we cannot heal it, and if we cannot heal it, we cannot be a well-grounded, fully functioning human. It's all very well to be, to sit in meditation and go to these really nice sound healings and beautiful, beautiful things. But if
Yeah.
we go home to shitty relationships or unhappy jobs or some level of dissatisfaction in your
Yeah.
life, it's what's it all about? So, and I think it's important to think about doing your dirty work, so to speak.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
I think also that there's a different way of looking at it now. I mean, once upon a time we used to think, oh God, who wants to go and spend years, talking about my deep wounds and my traumas and da-di-da-di-da. I think now we can do it from a different angle. It's still to look at that, but to
Yeah.
recognize that out of our wounds and our trauma comes our strengths. How
Yes.
we cope with our trauma? How did we manage to survive our childhood, our awful relationship or whatever it might
Yeah.
be? And the reason we did it was because we developed strengths to cope with our circumstances.
Yeah.
Now, sadly, many of us use those same coping mechanisms as an adult, and they're not necessarily helpful, right? But if we can look at our trauma and see what strengths that we developed out of that, resilience, determination, self-belief somehow,
Yeah.
these sorts of strengths that we own, we can take those and create the future that we want. So we don't have to wallow in the past. We don't have to do parent bashing for too long. We need to acknowledge it. We need to feel the pain of it,
Yes.
but then we need to turn and use those strengths for our growth.
Absolutely. And that's what we did on my Saturday circle last week,
Mm.
was shadow self and finding that problem to really aspect with it and dig deep. And as a light worker, I can tell you right now, I am always healing something. I'm always bringing out something from my childhood or something along those lines that have happened to me in the past that this version of myself today or the version in the future that knows I'm going to get through that comes through and has to heal. I have to do the work on that younger version of myself that went through that trauma. And it doesn't matter whether it was yesterday. It's looking back and reflecting and giving that healing that you know right now how to give yourself and taking yourself through that through a meditation or just a guided session with yourself, kind of like Gestalt therapy is putting yourself on a chair and talking to your younger self to be able to nurture that and heal that and give that what it needs, give that younger version of yourself what it needs, because that's how we become better and that's how we have the growth. And that's why I say everything is happened to us because it happened for us. I wouldn't be sitting doing what I'm doing if I didn't go through all these things. And one thing too I noticed yesterday, and some of you will totally relate, it's like I've been hanging on to emotions and stuff, for the last 12 months of myself. And I all of a sudden realized that, all the work that I've been doing has actually worked because I can go, meh, I feel nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like the emotion and the negative connection to that has now healed. It's kind of like I unplugged the pain somehow. It's like the work that I have been doing, and some of that is isolation. It's being within the self, reflecting on all of this to be able to heal and remove myself and heal that pain and have that epiphany and that, wow, good work, Ness, So it's really working on that self, and I can say that to me was living proof. I was stuck in that for such a long time, and it was just like, bang, oh, you're out of it. I don't feel the attachment as I did weeks ago. And you stepped into this and did the work. You haven't really gone and jumped in and ignored it. You've actually worked on yourself, which is, to me, is really powerful. So continuing this growth is going to make us better coaches and better supports and mentors and counselors and all of that, healers. So a true believer on doing that work. So
And that kind of brings in breath work here that I've found in my work as a therapist, that the addition of breath work has really been useful in helping to release some of the traumas. And like everything's in our body, cellular memory, right? And sometimes the talking is good to a point, but to use breath work as a way of helping to release the memories of trauma out of the body is also quite useful. It's a nice adjunct to the therapy.
yes, absolutely it is. And I guess, Maxine, can you tell us what breath work actually is? Yes, it's a meditation, but can you share with us what breath work is and how you do it and what it is to you, and maybe even give us an example? Yeah, is that all right?
Sure. So breath work is not a meditation if you're using it for a treatment, right? You can use the breath for meditation, but if you're using breath work as a treatment, you get the idea is to get the breath into a heightened state. So you move into a space of using what we call conscious connected breathing. So we take the breath in, we don't pause, we breathe out. We don't pause, we breathe in. So it's all, it's like panting, almost like, it's not panting, the practice itself, but that's what it is like. So there's no pause between the breath and the out breath, and it takes you into like a state of what's the word? What happens when you get old?
Out of that being a sort of taking this as sort of soul out, like out of the body, that
almost like a
experience.
hyperventilated state, right? So you get out of your mind, you're taken out of your mind, and then it allows you to focus on the body, on the breath in the body,
Yeah.
and to get in touch with whatever comes up,
Mm.
and it will. You go in with an intention, and you breathe it out. And so the idea is to bring the breath in, to bring it to your attention, and then you release it. So you consciously, with that breath, breathing it out, letting it go. Yeah. And with that will come the emotional reaction, whatever that might be. It could be rage, could be
Yeah.
tears, could be anything, right? And so what we do as practitioners is actually hold that space, the safe space for the person to be able to do that. And
Okay.
and so the person will get into a process, and then we try to, and then they might go through a pause state and just relax, and sort of that's enough. They then might go through another cycle. They
Okay.
may not, right?
Getting
But it's
Sorry, just quickly. So getting into that point of hyperventilation, it's like you can leave the body. Is that what happens? Yep. Go
I
on.
don't I don't know that I would say you leave your body, because at any point in time, you are aware of what you're doing and you can stop it if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah. So there, there is a level of there's definitely a level of control here. We don't really want people disappearing.
Mm.
We want them to stay with
Okay.
themselves. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, it's kind of like going almost into the dream state. You're still there,
Mm.
but your mind is not actively aware of it, as
Yes.
opposed to leaving your body.
Right.
Dissociate,
Yeah.
right? Is that, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Do you want a quick example or of how to do that, or you'd have to probably, I guess,
I
you'd step it through.
suppose, yeah. But if we talk about the breath itself, we're taking the breath into the belly, the lower belly, right, and bringing it up into the top of the chest. So you might start off doing it through your nose, and you might even start off just doing it out through your nose as well. But the idea, once you get into a state of where it's taken its own journey, is to you might breathe in through the mouth and out through the mouth. And if it gets really tough going, you might even start panting. But the idea is to bring the breath into the belly, right up to the top of the chest, and letting go.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you let go, you're consciously letting go of the tension in the muscles as well. So you're basically letting go of your mind, you're letting go of your body, and you're allowing the breath then to start dictating the terms.
I love that. Yeah, because I can feel like that experience, and I've only done a couple of times breath work, but I've known that I've kind of like not left the body, but had that feeling of coming away from the soul, coming out, and being able to just have more awareness.
Yes.
I've only done it a couple of times, and through that experience, it's been wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
lots
Yeah.
lots of messages and lots of guidance coming through.
And yes, and so there's many methods that you can use to assist that. The shamanic method is to track, with energies, and may even call in spirits and spirit animals. So there's many ways that somebody can practice and work with breath work. But I suggest you
Wow.
find someone who's well trained if you're going to do that, because it's a very vulnerable place to
Yes.
be in a breathwork session,
Mm.
when you need somebody right there with you to support through that. Yeah.
Yes, and because you don't want anything to happen if you don't know what you're doing.
Correct. And if something goes a bit, if you get scared or something goes a bit pear-shaped for you, you want somebody there to be able to hold you and hold your space.
To teach
and
how to do that properly.
Yeah.
Wow. Sounds amazing. Sounds really, really great. So, Maxine, I know we've got a few minutes left. Do you want me to, I guess, do you want a reading, or should I just do a reading for everybody today?
Whatever you feel drawn to do.
All right. 5-ish minutes left. All right. Before we do that, Maxine, just to remind you, if that you can put your website or your any of your pages down Instagram, and if you get a chance to go over to Facebook, you can put your business page in the comments so people know how to find you. And I will share this Instagram to Facebook so people can view it properly. Fingers crossed. But all right. So
Can I add my comments after we've finished?
Yes. Otherwise it's too hard now.
Yeah. Otherwise I'll get all discombobulated.
All right. What I am going to ask you though, Maxine, is what do you feel like everyone needs guidance on today? What do you feel like is a general overall, feeling into that energy of what people are needing guidance with at the moment?
First thing that comes to my mind, Ness, is astrologically at the moment it's quite volatile coming up, and I think something that might be ground for people, and particularly if there's any conflict or something along those lines, to be grounded, I think, is something that I might be quite useful.
Okay. All right. So I've just pulled the first deck that's on my pile on my desk here. So this will be, sorry, everyone can see it on Facebook, but not on Instagram, Energy and Spirit, which is by Sandra Ann Taylor. All right. So through that kind of like, what advice can we be? Grounding, channeling into that energy. Everyone's sort of feeling, probably with the new moon energy coming up, that we're all a bit scattered. And I think it's about bringing things into alignment this time, working on your purpose or working on what gives you, love and connection. All right. So what card I have here right now is, if you can see that on Insta, it is confusion. And you can see that here. It is confusion, and hence why we're probably feeling like we're getting pulled left, right, center, up, down, like a yo-yo, going around in circles. And this year I really feel like this is about a rebirth, because when you look at this card, you've got the past, the known, the unknown, perhaps, maybe, the future, all on this post here. And it's saying, which direction do I need to go in? Which is right? What can I change in my life to give myself that rebirth? And this is all about dealing with those challenges, and grounding, as you say, is really, really important, because when you hit that fork in the road, you need to pause and smell the roses to go, well, if I go that way is going to be the road that I always take. Or if I go this way, which seems a lot easier, but it's the healing road. It's the road that's going to take me to that destination, the road that takes work. But if you can see yourself in the future where you'll be from going down that road, it's the right road that feels right for you. So it's in that heart space, So stopping, grounding, taking a deep breath. Which direction do I need to take? The one that I always take, or the one that's better for me, that's going to give me the most growth? So I feel like in that confusion, Spirit is saying, stop, smell the roses, feel into that one that seems like it's a little bit of work. Yes, there's the healing and all of that around it, but there's also the better journey for you that's going to give you the space that you need, where you can hold space for yourself because you've done the work. So the words on the card is this: many choices and uncertainty. So the message is to just stop, let it be, ground yourself, go with the one that you know that's going to give you a better version of yourself. Okay? And everyone's probably thinking, yeah, okay, that totally makes me relate to where I'm going right now. And some of you may not quite get that, but that will happen in time. So I'm just going to pull out another card. Okay. You've got past life guides. So Spirit is saying your guides are showing you exactly where you need to be. There is obvious signs along the way, especially like turning up to this live today, or Spirit might put a coin in your path or a song that gives you confirmation. This is about your guides that have been with you all your life, taking you through this journey. They're showing you where you're meant to be. It's about you listening, pausing in that fork in the road before you dart off to what you know, stepping it back and going into that journey for where you need to be with the most amount of growth and the hard work, but it's always worth it. So the message is karmic lessons present themselves. So it is that Spirit is presenting in every way possible to show you exactly where you need to be. Trust and listen. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the show today, and I hope, Maxine, you enjoyed. Is there anything you would like to share with us before we go? Anything you would like to share with us? Anything?
Nothing comes to mind except that I am going to be starting the women's circle coming up soon. If anybody, they'll find it on Facebook, I'm sure. But also, I think just kind to yourself. Don't put pressure on yourself like I've got to be here, I'm not good enough, or I'll never get there, or whatever. It's just self-compassion. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll go afterwards and respond to any questions or whatever that might have come up in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I will be too. And Ramona says, thanks, Ness and Maxine. You're welcome. Thanks, everybody, for joining today. Maxine will share on both pages where you can find her or her website, whatever is easier. And don't forget that Maxine offers her online meditation on Wednesday night, 8 p.m. West Australian time. So you can get a taste of how amazing this lady is and join her there, or contact her directly. So, all right, everybody, you all have a fantastic Friday, and I'll see you on Monday for Cards of the Week, but I will be back next week for another Nurture Natter. I don't know who the guest will be or whether it'll just be me. But Alicia says, thanks, Ness and Maxine. Always welcome. All right, everybody. Hey, Joe on Facebook, watch the replay. All right, everybody. Love and light to you all. Thanks, Maxine.
Thank you.